Now we are pleased to welcome Professor Kehinde Ishangi, who is an assistant professor at Florida State University. Thank you for being here. I believe it's the first time.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I am a dance artist. That's my first love and first place that I began. And then I became heavily involved in teaching while at the same time dancing. And now I find myself in the academy researching the things that I love. Starting as a ballet dancer and later modern and African contemporary dance forms, I found myself getting injured quite a bit and grew greatly frustrated with why I was getting injured. And so there was always this thing in the back of my mind: what can teachers do to help dancers not get injured? And what was it that I was missing? Was I just weak and I shouldn't be a dancer? And so these questions lingered in my head. In the early 1990s, I went to New York and studied at the Ailey School with Joan Peters, and that was the Dunham technique. And this was my first time studying something that I felt made me really strong and built my physical capacity, and I fell in love with the technique. But I had this question in the back of my mind: why does it hurt so much? This thing dancers have that you have to, what's the saying? No pain, no gain. Do you know this saying here, right? So this thing that dancers have that has to be hard. Well, the question in my mind was, does it really have to be hard? Can I be stronger and not feel like I'm killing myself, killing my body? So all of this led me on my journey. And I danced with companies like Cleo Parker Robinson Dance Ensemble in Denver, Colorado, that continues her work. I danced with James Carles's company here in Toulouse that had a project that I work with that continues her work. And what I would like to do is to continue her work through looking at it as functional anatomy. What I discovered in my journey of working with injured dancers, which is part of what I do at Florida State University, I work in the conditioning studio, and if dancers get injured, then I'm one of the people that they come see, and we problem solve and help them work through what's going on in their bodies. And so this whole area of wellness, dancer wellness, trying to implement that inside of the dance studio. And that is a part of my research. Dance pedagogy, movement science with functional anatomy, and performance. So I find myself investigating Katherine Dunham. Katherine Dunham is an anthropologist. She's a humanitarian. She passed. She was a great choreographer and performer. She created work on Broadway, on film, and the concert stage. She toured Europe largely, and I found one of my best master teachers, Christiane Rougemont in Paris, who studied with Miss Dunham and assisted her for 6 years. So along this journey of trying to figure out how to help dancers be better, how to help myself be injured less, I began to investigate somatic practices, movement sciences, like Pilates, which I certified in, gyrotonic and gyrokinesis, which I certified in, and then my world completely changed when I found the Franklin method. The Franklin method uses the body and how it works and imagery coupled together. The idea is that, as we know, if you can think it, you can achieve it. So if we understand how the body works and we can see it in a colorful way to keep the mind very engaged, then we can create positive change in the body. So, we hope. So, I have today my skeleton, Miss Lucy Goosey, my pelvis, and so that we're all working with the same understanding about the body, I just want to introduce the pelvis, because the Dunham technique, a lot of the base movement initiates at the pelvis. So why not understand this part of the body that is the middle passageway to everything, right? It rests our upper body, the spine, the head resting down, and then distributes weight through the legs into the rest of the body. So it's this center place. You hear it as the core, our middle, yes? So it's very important. So it's important that when we're teaching and we want people to understand something, that we all have the same information. So my intention is to not insult anyone's intelligence, but to make sure that everyone in the room has the same information. So we look at the pelvis and we see the bony landmarks of the ilium on either side, coming down to form the pubic bones, and resting in the center is the pubic symphysis. That's our front. Then if we come around, the ilium coming to the very back connects to the sacrum. That's our sacroiliac joint. And then the sacrum, we see at the very bottom, the coccyx. At the top, moving up, we see how our spine is sitting on top of the sacrum. So when we think of our spine, we don't just think of the colon vertebra, the spinal column. We also think of the sacrum and the coccyx, because it's all making one line. Yes? So did you know that these bones move? You may not think about it when you walk from day to day, but they all move, right? And they have their own individual job. So we have the bones to the side, if she'll stay seated. And this is the female pelvis. How do we know it's a female pelvis? Exactly, because the base, the ilium are more flared out like this in a V, which we would need if we were going to deliver a child. And male pelvis tends to be, the ilium tends to be more straight, which is why women can have a nice hourglass figure. And men tend not, because there's not as much space for them to have that. Yes, it goes straight. So theirs is more straight up and women's more open. So when we have the movement of the ilium, we say that the movement inflares and outflares. So if this, my hand's representing that, we have going in and moving out like this, right? So that's our ilium. Then if we move around to the back to the sacrum, and let me see. Yeah, so we can see our inflaring, my bungee pelvis, our inflaring and our outflaring. Then we move to the back, we can see that the sacrum also moves. In Franklin method, we call this nutation and counternutation. Nutation and counternutation. So all of this is moving and working in one piece. Now, can you see the bones at the very bottom of the ilium? And we know what these are, right? You're sitting on them, the sits bones or the ischium. And so because the ilium is moving, it affects the ischium at the very bottom. They go out as well, and they come back in because the whole piece is attached. What you can't see very clearly, is that the whole pelvis half is actually moving like a figure eight in a spiral and then coming back out. So all of this is the action and the movement that's going on inside. Yes? So this is a moment, thank you, that I ask for your participation, because we have 3 different centers of our body, right? We have our head space where our intellect is. We have our heart space where our feelings lie. And then we have our physical space, our gut instinctual body. In order to be whole individuals, we have to embrace all 3 aspects of ourselves. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, okay. So, in being able to understand Dunham technique, we have to understand how the body moves. And it's great to have a textbook and know this bone moves like this and this muscle moves like that. All that's wonderful. But when it comes to being able to move the body, it is essential that you understand what's here that's coming through your body. Yes? Wonderful. So I invite you, I'm not going to hold up anything, arrest you and make you do this. It's at your own free will, but I invite you to explore with me, exploring the Dunham technique through functional anatomy. So if you would just stand up, a little out of the norm. Yeah. And so this is largely, I feel like I should go in front because I'm short. And you may not see my pelvis because of the table. So can you still hear me? Okay, fantastic. So if we can just take a moment, this is the first part of the Franklin method warm-up, and it's called concentration, because we're going to concentrate on our pelvis, okay? So just image in your mind, see in your head where this is, feel in your body where it is, and listen to what's happening in your physical, okay? Just for a few moments. Whenever you're ready, you can begin. And then slowly take a little snapshot of your pelvis in your mind, what you think it looks like, maybe even how it feels in your body, the shape that it's in. Wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful. So you can sit for just a moment. So in this, did you have a clear image of your pelvis? Not quite, not quite. Okay then. How many movers in the room? You dance, you move, a few people, a couple of people. Okay, fantastic. All right, wonderful. So if you will, once again, we're just going to take a moment and explore. I know maybe the picture that you just had in your mind was a little fuzzy, not very clear of your pelvis, yes? But hold on to whatever that is, and we're going to come back and investigate what happened, okay? So let's stand, because as we talked about, the pelvis does move, yes? So let's start with one that's really simple. You're going to place your hand at your sacrum, so right here on the back side of the body. She's not going to stay up, okay, right on the back side. Her cords are overstretched from my suitcase. Yeah, so right there. And simply, I want you to just bend your knees and straighten your knees. And all I want you to do is just notice what's happening with your pelvis. If you can feel movement or not. Yes. Wonderful. Yes. Yes. You can feel movement. Excellent. Excellent. Now, can you describe the movement that you're feeling?
Yes. Turns in.
Is okay, yes, so someone said it's going in. Anything else? And out. Fantastic. Yes, fantastic. So I've already shown you with Miss Lucy Goosey how the sacrum is moving. So if you have your hands up like this, another Franklin method tool in teaching embodied anatomy, right? So when you bend your knees, the coccyx swings back. So the front part swings forward. And then when you straighten your knees, it swings back between your legs. So we say nutation and counter-nutation. Nutation and counter-nutation. If you keep on the journey with me, and nutation and counter-nutation and nutation and counter-nutation. Now let's make it really colorful, right? Let's think of our tailbone and swing back and swing under. Or maybe a cat's tail. Yes? So cat's tail swing up and swing under. Are you ready? Here we go. And cat tail swings up and swings under. And swing up and swing under. And swing up and swing under. And swing up and swing under. And then just pause there for a moment. And now notice your pelvis. See if there's anything that's changed or feels different.
I feel it bigger.
Bigger.
Yeah.
That's great. A wider base. What? Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So hold that with you. Now here's one that gets a little funny, especially for Americans. I don't know about you here in France, okay? So take away all thoughts that you have about the pelvis that you don't like. And let's just think about function. How does the pelvis function, okay? We're going to go to the sits bones and see how they function. So you're going to take one hand at your thigh and trace all the way to your bum, and then the other. And if it's okay for you, you can bend your knees and then just come to the bottom of your bum, and voila, we have our sits bones. So can we find our sits bones? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So once you find your sits bones, we're going to keep our fingers there just for the moment. Okay? And the same thing as before. You're going to bend your knees and straighten your knees and see if your fingers start to move. Bend your knees and stretch your knees. And bend your knees and stretch your knees. And again, bend your knees. Can you feel the movement in your sits bones?
Yes.
Can you explain what the movement is?
It goes out and it goes down, and when you go up, it goes in.
Wonderful, great. So if we think about it like a fan, when you bend your knees, it opens out, and when you come back, the fan closes. Can you see that in your head? Yes? So when you bend your knees, the sits bones go out, or if I'm more proper, it would be like that, and then you come back, it would come in. Yes? So sits bones go out, and sits bones come in. One more time, sits bones go out, and sits bones go in. Even in your mind, you've already touched, you can see sits bones go out and come in. Give your fan a color. Calcula. It doesn't matter. Okay, here we go. See your color? Colorful fan? Mine is rouge, red. Okay, and sits bones go out, and sits bones go in. So see the color of your fan opening and closing. Sits bones go out, and sits bones go in. And again, sits bones go out, and sits bones go in. Last time, sits bones go out and in. And now pause and stand and notice. What's changed? What feels the same? Can you explain it?
Lighter.
Is lighter. Oh, that's wonderful. Especially for dance. You want to feel light. Anything else?
Is diffused. I don't know.
Diffused? Wider.
Yeah.
Wider. Yes. Okay, wonderful. Wider. Great. Fantastic. We have one more before we learn some Dunham technique. Are you ready? So your hip joint is right inside. It's where your femur bone comes up to meet your pelvis. So from here, we have our ilium, right? So that's on the inside. And we have the very middle, which is our pubic symphysis. And then from here, so if we go from our hip bones here, the middle is our pubic symphysis. In the middle is our hip joint. So if you bend over and wiggle your hips a little bit to the side, you can feel your hip joint moving back and forth like this. All right? So a little bit of your hip joint. So right in the crease.
This is the work for dudes.
So right in the crease. Okay, great. So now from here, I want you to image that because this is a ball and socket joint, which means that it spins and it turns. Okay? So I want us to first I want us to bend back and image our femur heads rolling back. And then when you come back up, it rolls forward. Right? So you can even, if you put your hands there, you can feel that you're going deeper inside, which means there's making space because the bones are moving back. And when you come up, it's moving forward. And you could feel it inside of your hands pressing forward. Yes. So it rolls back and it rolls forward. And again, it rolls back and it rolls forward. And see it spinning. Spinning around, rolling back, spinning, 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 and rolling forward. Spinning, 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 and then pause right there. So what happens if you pick up one leg? It still rolls back, and then it rolls forward. Change sides. It rolls back, and then it rolls forward. And it rolls back, and forward, and it rolls back, and forward, and again rolling back, and forward and rolling back, and then pause and stand right there. And now notice your pelvis. Has anything changed?
It feels rounder.
What did you say?
It feels rounder.
Round feels rounder.
More aware. You're just more aware.
Just more aware. Great. More awareness is wonderful because it helps you bring about a change. Okay? So what I want us to do next is to simply play with the idea of sitting down, having our sacrum nutate, our sits bones go wide, and the pelvic, the heads of the femur go back. So you're going to sit up, and then, you sit down, and you're going to stand back up. Are you ready? All right, so try it. I'm going to pretend. I'm not going to go back behind the table. Are you ready? So we have sit down and feel what's happening in your pelvis. All the way down, sit in your chair. Yes, and then stand back up. Notice in your pelvis. And again, sit down. And then sits bones come in, close your fan, back up. And again, open the fan, nod the pelvis, roll the femur heads, and then close the fan, take the sacrum, roll the femur heads. One more time you go, and sits bones go wide, sacrum nutates, femur heads roll back, and you have standing up, femur heads forward, close, nutate, counter nutate, and pause and stand there and just for a moment notice. Wonderful, wonderful. So the movements that you've just done in Dunham technique, all this squatting and coming back up, you took a rest. In Dunham technique, there's no rest. You just go down, hold it with no support, and you come back up. We need this. So the movement that's in Dunham technique is wonderful because it's integrated into everyday life. Yes? So let's try some Dunham movement with our new vocabulary, right? Because you see that as people, this is information that you can have for your daily life, not just for Dunham technique. But if you take good habits from every day into your Dunham technique, it's much better for the body. Yes? So this first movement we have is called flat back. And then come back up. It's done a lot in Dunham technique. Yes? So from here, we have femur heads rolling back, and we have flat back. Hands can just go by your side, and then come back up. And think of the femur heads rolling back forward. So think of wheels on a car. Yeah, wheels on a car rolling back, and then wheels on a car rolling back forward. Let's do that one more time to finish. And wheels on a car rolling back, flat back, and then coming back up. Great. And because dancers have lots of back and hamstring tension, and that we're going to take a small pause and come to our legs open like a dancer wide. Okay? So from here, we're simply going to go down, which is our grand plie, and come back up and think about what's happening with the way our pelvis is moving. In particular, the sits bones, right? So sits bones go wide and sits bones close. And again, sits bones go wide and sits bones close. Even the sacrum, the tailbone swings up to the ceiling and then comes back. And again, swing and come back. And then one more time you have and swing and come back. Last time, see the image really clearly and colorfully. And then coming back. And good, you can toe heel yourself back in, because Dunham toe heels back in from second position. And so the last thing that we'll try is combining. Part of what's great with the Dunham technique is that it really uses the full range of all the joints and squattings and coming back down. It also uses the spine a lot, right? The movement is starting from your pelvis. So if you're in your flat back position from here, and then you start from your tailbone, your coccyx swinging between your legs, rolling through the spine, and then send it back the other direction. So curl, and then send it back the opposite direction. So supple. Close your sits bones, and then open your sits bones. Close your sits bones, and then open your sits bones. Close your sits bones, and then open your sits bones. Good. Bend your knees and just round up. And so that's the beginning of movement for an exercise called body rolls, or even in the very base of Yan Balu, one of the dances that's done. So you can have a seat. The time. Okay, wonderful. So I'm a little fast. Okay, so as you can see, the movement that's done in dance is really done in life. And by understanding what happens in the body daily, that's how dancers, I believe, can create better function in their body when they move. Oftentimes, as a dancer growing up, I've heard, dance is unnatural. And it always it never really landed with me. I always question, why do people say that dance is not natural? It's coming from the body. So if it's coming from our human form, we have to be capable. So what is that? It's understanding how the body moves and only using the muscles that are essential to the way the movement is asking. If we want to lift our shoulders up, right? We don't have to recruit everybody for that. We can even just think of our shoulder blades lifting up and down as opposed to squeezing all the muscles that assist in that job, right? So I hope this has been a little inspiring for us to bring a little functional movement in our lives. Thank you. Thank you. And this is the beginning of my exploration of Dunham technique and functional movement. It profits everyone, not just the dancer. Thank you. Thank you.